John Rossetti, you lived in the Iron Age, effectively, for 13 months. Tell us, what does the Iron Age smell like?
Well, to us, it smells of wood smoke primarily, and wet animals, I would say.
Right. You say wet animals, not dung.
No, not dung. No. We were in a wood really, and the animals were quite spread. It wasn't a close farming situation. The animals were out in the fields. There wasn't a lot of dung.
All right.
We were more living off a forest. We used wood was our main material, and then we were managing sheep in the field, cows, goats, chickens, but they weren't. The smell was more our own clothes. We had nothing to wash it with apart from muddy water, and we lived in a completely smoky environment because the round house with the complete
chimney,
no light, open fire in the middle of the house, 24 hours a day. We were living in smoke.
So you wake up in the morning and you're in a smoky room.
Yeah.
There's been a fire burning all night.
Yeah.
Then later in the day, a bread oven gets lit and possibly a forge or a kiln as well. But you step one step outside and you're in a small-ish farmstead that's got a pigsty and a goat byre, and so there's a fair amount of dung, not far away.
Yes, I suppose so. We didn't notice it much. I think, as I said, we just smelt of wood smoke, but we didn't notice it. Anybody who came to visit us, like the camera crew who came occasionally, would think we completely reeked of wood smoke, and we thought they reeked of soap and perfume. You'd never notice it today. You go and see someone.
You say reeked of soap, so it was the strength that hit you.
We'd completely lost all of that you take for granted in modern day life, that people will smell of soap, but you won't notice it. I wouldn't notice it from you. But if you're completely away from that environment and suddenly someone comes onto it, you think, "Wow, that's a strange smell." And we just smell.
But the word you chose was reeked, suggesting that it was unpleasant.
It was unpleasant.
Oh, right.
It was unpleasant. Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned the water supply and muddy water and so forth. You had a well on site.
We had a well.
Right.
Yeah, so we had a well was reasonably fresh water, and that was our.
So you drank directly from it.
Oh yes, we drank from it, or we poured it into wooden bowls and drank out of that. Yeah, that was our only source of water, really.
So you didn't leave it to settle or boil it or do anything to it like that?
No.
And that was fine for the whole time?
Yep, absolutely fine.
Okay, even though you've got not many yards away an awful lot of pigs doing poos, the ground filtered it fresh enough?
No, we were very healthy. We were very healthy the whole year, apart from a few problems with infected cuts and things like that.
Oh, well, I read in the book that one of your fingers swelled up from a thorn cut.
It did. Well, I had a. We were always getting cuts from brambles and things, and I was salting a pig. We killed a pig. We were salting it down, and that took ages. But it's quite a communal experience. Everyone's sitting around cutting bits of meat, getting the fat off, and we were going to hang it up and smoke it. And the finger got infected, and it got quite bad. So I would have lost it, or maybe lost a hand. And that was one time when we called for outside help, and I had some antibiotics.
So you got modern medicine to deal with that, and so you think that the likely Iron Age consequence of that would be the loss of a finger or a hand?
Yes.
But not the whole of you.
Well, I mean, it had gone infected. It had gone slightly green and gangrene. So who knows? Those are the sorts of things which maybe the Iron Age people would have known how to treat with herbal cures, but we didn't, and I don't think the BBC were prepared to take the risk.
Okay, that seems very fair of them. No fire extinguisher, but if you get a massively swollen finger, fair enough. We'll step in. So you shut the doors and you're sealed in the house when it's dark. And the main light is just the fire in the centre.
Yes.
And what did you find you were able to do by that level of light?
Well, we would all sit around the fire, sometimes on the floor, sometimes on bits of wood, and we'd be whittling away at pieces of wood. Further on in the year, some people were trying to make musical instruments. One of the things that we did constantly was spinning wool to make yarn.
Yeah.
So we were always active, and in the circle of people around the fire, there'd be one space where there was the bath, which was a half a barrel.
Right.
And what we did was we had a 6-day cycle because there were 6 couples. So one couple would be the ones that did all the fire tending and making the bread and all the corn grinding into flour, and they also are the ones that were allowed to have a bath that night.
Right. It was very democratic, very fair and even.
Yeah. So what would happen is we'd fill this. Of course, it was all dark. You'd fill this half tub up with as much water as you felt you wanted to. Then we'd have hot bits of iron that we got red hot in the fire, and we'd put them into the water to warm it up.
Yeah.
By which time it probably looked all black and ashy, but we didn't see it. So then, then the woman normally, I don't know why, but the woman would go in first with the slightly cleaner water, strip off.
You say you don't know why. So it was just this convention that almost always the woman got the cleaner water.
That's right. Yes. Right. So they'd strip off, start making in front of everybody, but we were kind of used to that.
Yeah.
And sit in the tub, and then I'd perhaps go to Kate and help her wash her back, which would be rubbing clay across her to get some of the grease off. She'd wash her hair in clay.
Right.
And then if it got a bit cold, you get another piece of red hot iron, make sure it doesn't touch her while you heat the water up.
Okay.
And then when that was all done, it was the bloke's turn to have a bath.
Right.
And after that...
So there's now quite a lot of clay in the water.
Clay, ash, everything.
Right.
And then we'd use the remaining water to wash our clothes. So clothes we wanted to wash, we put them in there.
Right, and you got
Stop
more. You got on average more dirt off the clothes than you put onto the clothes from the.
Well, and then of course they'd get hung up outside to dry, and then you'd use them 2 days later. So that was how we kept ourselves clean. That we were doing around the fire. So it was a lot communal, everyone, but very low light. But you got used to that,
right.
And of course our day adjusted to the amount of light. So in the winter, come about 4 or 5 o'clock, you're feeling tired because it's gone dark, and you'd sleep for 12 hours or so. In the summer, you adjusted to a very short day. You just naturally adjusted to the daylight.
How conscious did you become of the phases of the moon then? Because if it's overcast and no moon, it would be pitch black outside, and other times, clear sky and a good moon, you could perhaps do something useful outside, or maybe not.
I mean, it was nice to see a bright moon, and it was fantastic to see the stars because we were way away from any light pollution there, so we got the stars that obviously people who live in the countryside will occasionally see, but it was fantastic. But we weren't particularly aware of the phase of the moon. Maybe perhaps we weren't there long enough, and because we didn't have wise elders who could have taught us these things, so we only could experience what we knew. Maybe we were quite culturally we would have been quite poor, very poor compared with an Iron Age community who would have had so much greater knowledge of the world around them.